Hello students, welcome back. We're here to continue learning more about the tourism industry. For this video, we're going to learn what is tourism system and what are the elements of tourism. So let's start by looking at the tourism system. The tourism system is a group of interrelated, interdependent, and interacting elements that together form a single structure. Let's set aside the word tourism first and understand what a system is. According to the dictionary, system is regularly interacting or interdependent group of items forming a unified whole. So, if we're going to pick up the most important word from the definition, a system is made up of a whole that is unified. And so, looking again at the definition of tourism system, it says here that it's a group of interrelated, interdependent, and interacting elements that together form a single structure. Now, let's take a look at the bold and underlined words for us to better understand the definition. When we say related, it means that it has a mutual or reciprocal relation. Let's take a look at the relations of countries in the world when it comes to tourism. So, how are they related? Countries are actually related as a system within tourism because each country allows the entry of tourists in their country. So, to be specific, I would like you to take a look at Korea. So, Korea has Koreans, and Korea is actually a destination visited by people from around the world. Now, looking at the citizens of Korea, the Koreans, they also go to other destinations or other countries to visit these places. So, when we say interrelated, there is a reciprocal relation. Now, interdependent means, of course, from the word dependent, they rely on each other. And so I would like to give an example of the different businesses that are actually dependent on each other. Like, for example, imagine that you are going to a destination. How can you go to a destination without the transportation and without the destination to go? In this simple example, for the destination to be reachable, there has to be a mode of transportation that will deliver the tourists from their point of origin. That's why we say it's mutually dependent. The destination is dependent on the transportation system. On the other hand, the transportation is also dependent on the destination because without the place to go, there will be no reason for people to move. Now, when we say interacting, it means that they act upon one another. Meaning, let's go back to the tourist who will be going to a certain destination. So, as I said, that tourists will never reach the destination without taking a transportation, whether it's something public or it's an own transportation. So, when that person or when that tourist reach the destination, there are also other needs, such as, for example, food. And so, there are restaurants that are present within the destination to provide food for tourists. So, in other words, the other members of the tourism system that I have recently mentioned, transportation, the destination or the attraction, and even the food, are part of the single structure, which is tourism. Okay? Now, these businesses form a single structure to have the tourism system. Okay? Is that clear? Now, let's move on to an illustration here created by Lapers in 1979, which is known as the systems model or the system model. So what you see on the screen is actually the geographical elements of tourism. When we say geographical, it means a location. So as you can see here, there are three elements. There are three geographical elements of tourism. First, we have the traveler generating region. Then we have the in-between, or what we call the transit region. And we have the destination, or the tourist destination region. This is very easy to understand because if we will look here, when we say traveler generating region, it means that this is where the tourist is coming from. So to simply illustrate it, Korea can be a traveler generating region for all people who are living here. So, assuming that a Korean would like to go to the Philippines, okay? So, that Korean coming from this region would definitely depart, okay, in order to reach the destination, which is actually Philippines. Okay, now as tourists, they never stay there permanently because according to the definition of tourism, the tourist can only stay for 360 days only, the most. And that tourist has to go back to its residence. Okay, now what is this transit route region? The transit route region is actually a place wherein a tourist can make a stopover. Okay. So assuming that there's again another tourist, like for example, another Korean who opted to choose like Eva Air to go to the Philippines. So Eva Air would usually make a stopover in Taipei. Now, when that aircraft would make a stopover, we call that a transit route region, meaning to say, this transit route region or this stopover has also the opportunity to interact with the tourist. In what way? This transit route region can probably offer a short tour or probably offer some food for those tourists who are waiting to continue their flight towards the destination. Okay? So is that clear? Let's move on to a more complicated system. Okay. So in this system here, it's actually a recent one. I don't say complicated, it's just a joke. But what I try to say is we will try to have a bigger picture of what the tourism system is. As you see, this circle here, which is the generating region or where the tourist is coming from, and the other one here, the tourist destination region, is almost the same as the previous one created in 1997. The only difference is, of course, why do you have a double departing travelers here, right? And why do you have tourists arriving and staying? Okay. This actually, departing travelers here, the two, is not a mistake of having it duplicated. It only means that there are people, okay, who are residents that of a certain region that would be transiting towards another destination. Or this another departing travelers are actually people who made a stopover. And these departing travelers having a stopover, say for example in Incheon, would also be transiting towards their final destination. So in other words, from the traveler generating region, it can be a permanent resident going to a destination, or it can be a passenger or a traveler who made a stopover at a certain point, like for example in Sean. Now, transit is actually the movement. The routes means from the point of origin, or what we call the generating region, going towards the destination, and they have to come back. Okay, as I've said, it's just a temporary stay in an unusual environment. Okay, now let's take a look at the yellow box here. What does it mean, the broader environments? This is something that is different compared to the previous tourism system illustration. So this broader elements that is made of physical, cultural, social, economic, political, and technological is what we call the macro environment. What is environment? We know that environment is surrounding. But in business, the environment is actually the situation where the tourism activity happens. So, uh, how does it affect the tourism system? Physical, cultural, social, economic, political, and technological affect the business or affect the tourism industry. In what way? I'd like to give you a very recent example that is happening in the world, in Korea, of course, and in the world as well. And it heavily affects the tourism business. This is actually about the health threat, which is the COVID virus. Now, this virus is actually something that people or the government has to address. And how did the government address this health issue? So they address this health issue by what? Containing people into their environment, meaning to say people are encouraged to stay within the residence so as to avoid the spread of virus. Culturally, there are some issues that are happening, like for example, racism is coming out because a lot of people are blaming Asians about the spread of this virus. Social, how the social comes in. So every government is actually recommending social distancing. They want to avoid. They want the people to avoid assemblies, right? Because an assembly or a group of people together will definitely spread the virus. What's the effect of this virus in the economy of the tourism? No travelers, even local or even domestic or even international, because they want to contain the virus in the area where it is present. There are also some political issues involved, like prohibiting the entry of tourists to a certain destination, which we are very familiar with. We can read the news about this one. And technological, how does it affect technologically? Probably when you open your television, or maybe when you look at the internet, it's all up there. And then because of this technology, we are becoming aware of what's happening, what's going on in the other parts of the world. So to simply put it, the tourism system is actually not exist on its own. It does exist, it does interacts, it does depend on the other group of people or forces. But of course, there are other things that affects the movement or the system. As I have mentioned, environments like physical, cultural, social, political, and technological. Now, if you haven't gotten this right yet, please open it up during our online meeting so we can talk about it deeper, and maybe I can give you more example to better understand how the system works. Okay? Let's move on to another topic. I think this is easier to understand. The elements of tourism. So the first element of tourism, oh, you only see a green box there, okay, and a person. The first element of tourism is a tourist. The tourist is the actor in the system. Without the tourist, there's no tourism business. Tourism is a very human experience, meaning to say people travel because they would like to experience the culture, they would like to experience the how to be in that place. Like for example, if they want to do scuba diving or if they want to trek, they want to enjoy. That's why they travel. That's why they participate in this activity because for them it should be fun. Okay? They anticipate something. What is their anticipation? They anticipate that what they paid for in this tourism will definitely be worth it. Okay? So they're also anticipating that the destination would be tourist friendly. They're also anticipating that the attraction that they will be visiting is really worth it. Okay? And it's because of this anticipation that they do remember. They do remember what happened to them, what they have experienced, and remembering is only one of the most important thing for a tourist because whatever they remember, it will be their story. It will be their story to their families, to their friends, and it can make or break the destination. So if you have a good experience, definitely you'll remember that. If you have a bad experience, you'll remember that as well. And so therefore, to create a good impression in tourism, that experience should something be memorable. Okay? Moving on to the next element. What's that? The travel generating region. So I did mention that already when I talk about geographical elements. It is the generating market for tourism. When we say generating market, this is where the tourist is coming from. Okay? It provides the push to stimulate and motivate travel. Sometimes you don't want to go to a destination, or sometimes you don't have any idea where to go. But because maybe you have seen an advertisement about a seat sale in an aircraft, or probably you have seen a cheap package, and those are motivators that pushes you to go to that particular destination. So, simply saying, this is where the tourist searches for information, books a trip, and departs. Okay? So, to review for the first two elements, first we have the tourist as the actor in tourism. Next, we have the traveler generating region. Moving to another element, we have the tourist destination region. Okay, if we look at the word at the middle between tourist and region, we all know that this is where are we going to, our point of destination. It's considered the sharp end of tourism. What is the meaning of sharp end? Sharp end would mean it can make or break your experience. Sharp end would mean whatever you have promised, whatever you have advertised to the tourist should be something real. Or maybe it's real, but if it does not satisfy the tourist, then there will be no return. Okay? This is where the full impact of tourism is felt and planning and management strategies are implemented. So the planning and the management strategies are for tourism stakeholders who are involved in making money out of their business. It can be the destination like a resort, or it can be like another business within the destination, such as maybe a restaurant. Okay. And of course, the tourist destination region is considered the pool, okay? The pool to visit destinations. It energizes the whole tourism system and creating demand for traveler in the generating region. So the pool is what is there to see? What is there to experience? What is there to make me curious about? What is there to make me satisfied as a tourist? So therefore, that what is there is actually the pool. That's actually attracts you to go and check out the place. Okay? Now, If you remember, I did mention it's the in between, the transit route region. The transit route region represents the short period of travel to reach the destination and also the intermediate places visited en route. So, simply saying, transit route region can be like a stopover or a layover. And most often, it's intentionally done to create more market for tourism, or it can be the reason for having a stopover is for the plane to refuel. Okay, but anyhow, okay, there is an opportunity for the transit route region to do business with tourists. Like, for example, having restaurants, having duty free shops, offering free tours. It's like, sampling of the region. So that's why we consider it also an element of tourism. Okay, if you will look at this picture here, then like for example this can be the schedule for transit tour, like a short tour given to tourists who are making a long stopover, maybe for a day or maybe for 10 hours. Okay, any question? Okay, I hope I made some issues clear here. As I have mentioned, we start the presentation by looking at the tourism system. So, what is a system? What is tourism system? What is it made up? And we also talked about the elements of tourism that involves the tourist, the traveler generating region, the traveler destination region, and the transit route. I hope you learned something from this presentation. And I thank you for giving time to look at it, to listen. And I hope to see you on the next lesson. Thank you for your time. Bye.